People struggle with social anxiety for mostly one specific reason. They don't integrate with the gaze of the other. Now, many philosophers, mostly kind of post-war modern French philosophers, such as Sartre and Foucault in certain areas, they talk a lot about the gaze of the other. And I'd say that this is the fundamental thing that not only produces anxiety, but it also is a main factor in the psychological cause for social anxiety and how it's maintained. And through their philosophy, Sartre talked about, we are, in a sense, victim to the gaze of the other, and in that sense, it reigns power over us, or it has a dominion over us, because it is that of the other, that of something in which is penetrated upon us, it gives us paranoia, and all of these types of things. And that's what he was talking about with regards to even aspects of existentialism within existential philosophy, as Sartre was one of the founders of existential philosophy, along with Kierkegaard. But instead, what usually happens when the socially anxious person doesn't integrate with the gaze of the other, which is the answer to getting over social anxiety, is they use instead projection to cast kind of what you could say like mental excuses of avoidance, doubt, and apprehension against the other to bypass their own personal shadow. Now, for the anxious person, they can only overcome the paranoid power of the gaze by acknowledging its presence through mutual communication with the other itself. Communion with others allows us to humanize the suspicion that lays dormant behind the gaze through interaction and personal investment, by having communion, by being in communication with people, interacting, socially integrating ourselves into society and the people around us on a daily basis. This builds a sense of mutual understanding and therefore removes the need to feel the apprehension and the anxiety. We integrate with the gaze so that something which feels foreign becomes familiar through the act of human relation with other people and society. This is something the anxious person does not do. They instead choose to not confront their shadow or their shadow content, which is that which causes the social anxiety, which is why they remain anxious in relation to others. Now, the best way to confront the personal shadow and the shadow content in relation to social anxiety is often through the gradual practice of self-expression over a continued period of time in relation to others. The shadow is likely associated to fear and personal uncertainty, therefore it would be best to, let's say, compartmentalize these forms of practice into steps or challenges. The more you do them, the higher you can climb up the distress hierarchy in which you come to build for yourself in understanding through steps, goals, achievements, challenges, whereby you will gradually overcome more and more anxiety-provoking situations with ease the more you do them. This will eventually lead to the integration of the shadow content responsible for having the social anxiety to begin with. In psychology, the practice of building a fear hierarchy to confront it practically and effectively is done through a process called situational exposure. And this, in basic terms, is you being aware or bringing exposure to yourself to situations which are anxiety-provoking or which provoke certain forms of fear within your body or within your mind or within both. And this is very useful for overcoming something like social anxiety, where that is all about the outside world, the external, the extroverted aspect of our lives. So doing something like situational exposure, building a fear hierarchy, building an understanding of what that might be in relation to your shadow, which is that in which you repress, avoid, or keep hidden within yourself. So in relation to social anxiety, self-expression is a big part of the shadow content, the extroverted side of self-expression. And usually someone who's very socially anxious, they find it very difficult to express themselves in an extroverted manner. And maybe it's not in their nature to do so, maybe it's not within their personality type to do so, but if they feel a desire to do so, but they struggle to do it, that is where it's kind of, in a sense, part of the shadow, something that needs to be understood, integrated, through a means of practicality, like something like situational exposure. So if you are interested in finding out simply how to do this successfully, you can jump on a free one-on-one call with me where I can just talk to you about what situational exposure is, especially if you personally are struggling with something like social anxiety or anything of that nature. It can be a very useful tool, and it is used within cognitive behavioral therapy or cognitive behavioral psychology. So looking into that for yourself also is very good, but of course if you want to run it through with me, I can give you a little guide on it. And of course if you want some coaching in relation to that as well, we can try and figure something out if that makes any sense for you. So thank you for watching this video. Share it around with anyone you believe would benefit from it, and God bless. I'll speak to you in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.